guys, we're going to be doing a little bit of behind the scenes video right now. So we're actually going to be trying to recreate my own look, kind of. Now, I know that there is a debate about using generative AI, and I get it. I know that it can be a ripoff of other artists. I know it uses a lot of water. I know they're working on finding other ways to take care of that. I'm currently a big fan of the idea of submerging the servers and using the actual cold depths of the ocean or moving it to, areas where it's a lot colder anyway. However, there are really good applications of AI, especially in the disability community. And I kind of feel like when you are using it to rip off yourself, it's not quite as bad. So I asked ChatGPT to style me for an event I'm going to later tonight. And I really loved the makeup look. The jewelry in the outfit, not so sure. I definitely don't have those pieces of clothing in my wardrobe. And of course, I don't wear jewelry, but the makeup look. Unfortunately, I can't just ask it to give me a list of, I can't just ask it to give me a list of the makeup used because it didn't use any. And I didn't have the exact shades of, for example, lipstick already in my collection. So we're going to play around and test. So this is the makeup look. And what I'm going to do is kind of play around. I have a little bit of time. My friends are going to come at around 9:30 is the goal to pick me up, and it is, don't mind my reach, currently 5:45. So we have a little bit of time to play. I've already done my shower. I've pulled some pieces to try and incorporate an outfit. This is obviously not what I'm going to wear. My friend is bringing some of her own pieces, and we're going to play once she gets here. But let's go ahead and test a few things. So my goodness, let's see if I even make it to the ball. Poor Cinderella. I'm drinking coffee milk because I'm going to be out late. The doors open at 10 and close at 2, so I'm allowing myself some caffeine. All right, I think I want to start with the cheeks because I think those are going to be the easiest to recreate. And I'm realizing right now that I don't actually have access to the reference photo because I'm using my own phones. Give me a second. I'm going to have to go for my third phone. I'll be right back. Okay, while we wait for this brick to load, let's kind of go over what it looks like. So it's basically a subtle red cheek with a highlight. So I pulled out the reds in my collection. I've got this one from the Disney Villains collection, and I've got this one from a Twilight collection. This one is a cream, this one is a liquid. So we're gonna do one on each side. And then for the highlight, I'm thinking maybe this one from Bridgerton or the traditional powder, but we also could try maybe the glossy one here. So we'll do one on each side, and then we'll maybe do this on one side and this on the other. All right, so we'll let that load. Let's go ahead. I washed a bunch of brushes, so I have some options to play with here. But I think we'll start here with the Twilight side. We'll just go maybe like that and just blend it out. And I'm just going on to bare skin because we're going to be wiping it off. So this will be going on to a lighter base, and I'll have my contour and all that. But just for experiment's sake. All right, that's blended out nicely. Right now on this side, we'll do the same, just 2 dots, I think, and we'll let it blend out. I think I'm going to use a sponge for this one. Actually, maybe I can just, yeah, this is working. In real life, I'm seeing very subtle on my flesh skin, but I look onto the cameras here and it's like very pronounced. So it's very interesting. Maybe I should have gone in with one, but we're just checking shades here really, so it's okay. Like to me in real life, I'm seeing all my redness here, and it almost looks like I'm just one color, but on camera, it's like I've got tons of whiteness here and more contrast, especially on my TikTok camera here. But in real life, it's a much different story. We may have to take photos and figure it out that way, but it's okay. All right, so this one blended out so easily with just my finger, but I didn't expect anything less. Okay, so for color, they're actually quite similar. I think this one has a more pinky undertone, and this one is a more true red. Okay, let me wipe off my finger. You know what? Actually, to make this fair, why don't I just do 3 sections of highlighter so that each one gets like their own little sets, so we can decide more appropriately. Hope this didn't stain my finger. I'm having a little bit of trouble getting it off. Okay, I think actually that's better. Okay, phone, did you load? Let's check in. It did. So it's starting. All right, we'll give it a second. In the meantime, let's go ahead. We'll do the blush first. So this is actually just a regular blush, but I really love using it as a blush topper because it has such sheen in it. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna use a fluffy brush, and let's just do a very tiny amount. We'll do the top here, just a tiny amount at the top of the cheekbone, and we'll do the same on both sides. Just tiniest amount at the top of the cheekbone. Now, I'm not getting a whole lot in person, but this will be the type of thing I think that'll show up more on camera. All right. Okay, let's check in here. All right, still loading. So let's go ahead into the traditional highlighter. This is our Wet n Wild Mega Glow. I'm just going to, like I said, it's a very subtle highlighter. So we'll do that sort of in the middle here, kind of like that. And the same on the other side. My goodness. Okay, we're finally opening up TikTok, kind of. This is why this one doesn't get used, because it takes for, come on. Okay, while it decides if it wants to do what I've asked, we'll go in for the last option, our blush balm from Catrice, and we'll go in just a little bit over here, and we're going to do the last little section like that. Oh, okay, that's really showing up on camera, at least here on the TikTok camera. And apply the last section here. The only thing I don't like is how it's gonna stay wet looking. Like, I want to glow, but I don't want to look sweaty in a club. All right, so I know my choice, but you guys let me know. So you can't let me know really, because you won't see this video until after the event, but let me know with what you would have gone with. And I'm not going to tell you my choice. I'm just going to let you see it in the next video. So let's, for the love of God, we're still attempting. You know what? Did I maybe send myself the photo, perhaps? Because if I sent myself the photo, I may have access to it here. That would be nice. It is now 6 p.m., which means I have 3.5 hours to finish getting ready. I think we can do that. Why are we logging out? Why is it logging out? Nobody told it to log out. TikTok isn't responding. Close app or wait. Let's close the app. I don't understand. Like I said, you're getting the back behind the scenes look at things here. This is what happens when I film. Like, I honestly have no clue what I'm doing half the time. Not that I think anyone is all that surprised. I mean, honestly, it's just chaos. It really is. Oops. What is happening? Oh my God, okay. You know what? Y'all are just gonna have to trust me that I'm remembering the photo correctly, and I will superimpose it in post, because this is just, oh, maybe? No, you know, I don't even care at this point. Okay, whatever. All right, so the next thing that we're gonna have to match is the eyes. And that's gonna be fun because it's a pure black smoky eye. Now, can I do that? Of course. Can I resist adding sparkles and color? We'll see. So really, it's just about deciding if I wanna match the shape, how smoky I get it, and do I wanna add a lash? Probably not. And also, which palette am I going to use, etc., 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 ad nauseum. So we have options if we can find them. Okay, so let's start pulling options. We have got this one. We have this one. Yes, smoke it out. We have, all right, thankfully it's all the little palette. All right, so let's go over our options. We have got the Wet n Wild Villains palette. It has a very true dark black here. We have got our Twilight Saga palette, which has a nice deep smoky gray, because I hope you know this, you should by now if you're watching my channel, a black smoky eye is not just black. We've got a deep smoky color in the NYX Wednesday palette. We've got a few options of smoky taupes in this palette here, some deep grays here, black with sparkles. Okay, let's map out what we want to do. I think we just go for it. Let's set the base. So like I said, I am just on bare skin right now. We're just practicing, kind of deciding what we want to do. So let's just pack it on. We don't need to worry about fallout right now. So let's get something where we can really load it up. I'm going to go into something like this and just pack it on the lid. Going in with our villains, because that is our deepest black. Will I look absolutely ridiculous by the end of this video? Absolutely. Do I care about looking a little silly on the internet? Absolutely not. Because if you let people like get you down over doing something that you love, then do you really love it? Like, honestly. This is the fun part, the experimenting. This is when I get to play, like getting ready to go out and sharing that with you guys. This is fun. This is really fun. When I'm stressed out and I'm having to like rush through something and like maybe skip a step or whatever, I mean, I'm still getting to do something I love by applying makeup. Like, I'm never going to look at doing makeup as a chore. You know, that's just not who I am, right? But it's this part. It's getting to kind of decide what to do and how to pull a look together and just kind of go with the flow, you know? And especially if I can, you know, throw a couple tips in there, teach y'all something. And honestly, sometimes I'm just learning with you. Am I an expert? Like, did I go to school for this? No. I mean, I took classes, obviously. You can't have a minor in technical theater without taking classes in makeup. But do I have like a license as a pro MUA? Did I go to esthetician school or makeup school or anything like that? No. But, you know, sometimes I'll see a tutorial that has somebody experimenting with something new and I'll pick it up and I'll immediately come to you guys and break it down into smaller parts because that's just freaking fun, you know? All right, so that's about as black as I'm gonna get it for this part. I just threw it all over the lid. Now, is this the shape that matches the AI? No, of course it's not. So now becomes the tricky part. We are going to pull this out. Am I going to pull it out with the darkest color? No. No. Now we're going to start smoking. So now I think I'm going to go with this shade because it's a little truer to a black. So I'm going to go into like the grays and taupes next, but not quite yet. So I think I'm going to go when I'm shaping into a brush like this. And now we're going to start defining the shape. And this is where I need to look a little more closely. So we're going to go in here like this. And now I'm just going to start kind of deciding the angle. And I'm going to use this as a stamping tool to just kind of draw my little line out, right? I think it's going to go maybe like that. Sort of like where I would do my eyeliner. Maybe a little longer for drama. And then I'll pull it back like that. Now, it's still going to get smoked out further than this, but now I'm going to fill it in and start blending it into that deepest color, because that's going to be where I'm going to have the most black, that little area that I just drew. Everything else would be a lighter shade. So this is the shape. Everything else is going to be lighter and less saturated. See, and I'm learning. I went too high with the smoke here. So what I'm going to need to do when I do my next one is keep it just to the lid, because now it looks like a swoop. And I don't think I like that, because now when I smoke it out, it's going to end up bigger than that. Do you see that when I go at that angle? Because what would happen next, if we're going in shade order, all right, so for example, if I wanted to then go into a color like this one here to smoke it out, I could load it up on my brush like this and very gently diffuse this edge here and start blending it. You see how quickly it's going to lose its shape? I mean, it's not bad, but I'd rather this be the most diffused part at the end, because now it's too wide. Because if you're gonna smoke it out under here, do you see what I mean? Yeah, now it's just becoming too rounded and too large. See, this is why we practice before we do it. Now, I'm not going to, but let me show you what would have happened if I decided to top this off with this glitter. So I'm gonna load it up here on my finger like this, and it looks dark, so I could have used it, but we're gonna go, actually I may change my mind when I look at it. Pretty, okay, now we just keep this onto the lid area like that. And it just gives a hint of sparkle. All right, but we're not going to do that. So let's move on. Okay, so actually, let's remove the ones I'm not going to use, just to make my life easier. Okay, now the best part. I mentioned at the start of the video that I didn't have the lip colors that I wanted. So I hunted. I spent at least 2 hours going through all of my eyeshadows, because you know, if you own a black liquid lipstick and eyeshadow, you have all of the colors of lipstick as you have eyeshadows. And I went through Amazon. I spent hours on Amazon looking for the shades. Now, the closest eyeshadow I had to the shade of lipstick were in here. These ones here. But, and I'll throw the photo up again, somewhere in this area. You know how I do. That's not a metallic or shimmer. These are all shimmers. Plus, that's the color I did last time I went out to the same club. So, you know. So, I finally found these. And I was super excited. They're as close as I could find. They're super long lasting. They're waterproof. They don't budge. Go back and see another video for that. So, I will very briefly show you guys these shades. They're really pretty. I'll throw that hand swatch up in here too, so you guys can see them a little more closely. And I kind of already chose which one I want to use, but what I haven't decided yet is if I want to add a little bit more drama. So, because I can play, obviously I'm not going to go exactly the same. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do one side exactly as the photo and the other side with a little more drama. So these are awesome. They are a lipstick and a lip liner in one, and the liner is not just the exact same lipstick, but in a smaller point. So these actually do have more of a waxy formula and a tiny little tip. So I'm going to line my lips on this side, just as I normally would with the included lip liner, and these are quite waxy. Now, I also found out the liners are not transfer proof, but on the other side, I'm gonna pull out my black lip liner and I'm gonna color in the sides, something like that. This is something I picked up from Sarah. Nope, not gonna remember her last name. I'll put her handle up here. She loves doing that, especially for her random lip combos, the contouring technique. All right, so now I'm gonna go over and fill in both sides like normal with the lipstick. Now, this can go patchy. This is not exactly a high-end thing, so just make sure that you're paying attention and covering it all in, like, you know, make sure to go back over any areas that miss. Is this a super comfortable lipstick? No. Is it incredibly drying? Yes. Is it a nightclub lipstick? Yeah. It's gonna stay. You're gonna go home. You're gonna pull everything off. It'll be fine. All right. What do we think? Do we like normal or do we like contoured? You know, I thought I knew which one I would like better, but I honestly am not sure. All right. So the last thing that I want to figure out is the hair situation. There's 3 options. So I can scrunch it like a 90s kid. You see, I already have like a natural sort of wavy texture, I can do like a flat iron kind of deal. Normally my go-to for heading out anywhere is curl it, run my fingers through it, loosen it up, throw it up. Now, I wish that I could wear the whole thing up, but as you saw, I'm growing out my undercut and it looks kind of funky. So I don't know, but I'm gonna call it here for the behind the scenes so that I can actually start to get ready. But I will see you guys immediately after this. I'm gonna go wash everything off, do my skincare, prime, and prep, and then I'll be back to start filming again. For you guys, it'll only be a couple of seconds. Bye.